יש מחלוקת הפוסקים, האם מותר, are we allowed to put in a pot that stands on the fire, we allowed to put a spoon inside a pot to grab some food. Let's say you want to take an egg from the hameen. Can you take an egg from the hameen while it's on the fire or not? That's מחלוקת הפוסקים. It all starts from one fundamental method. מגיס הרי הוא מבשל. What does it mean? Mixing the food is considering cooking. But question is, at what stage of the food? Yeah? That's a מחלוקת ראשונים. ספר כלבו says, המגיס חייב משום מבשל אפילו בקדרה מבושלת. As long as it's on the fire, even if the food is cooked, if a person is mixing the food while it's on the fire, is considered cooking on Shabbat. So mixing the food is cooking. As opposed to that, הרב המגיד, פרק ג' מהלכות שבת, explains the Rambam over there, that the Rambam talks about only if the food is not cooked 100%. It's not מבושל כל צורכו. But if it's מבושל כל צורכו, once it's cooked already, there is no איסור מגיס. מגיס, it's mixing. That's called Megis. That's the name of the Isur. Isur Megis. So, well, we have a mahloket. Now, according to Sefer HaKolbo, that Megis is hayav even if the food is cooked. So now we have an issue to take food out of the pot, especially if you are moving food around. If you don't just grab it, what if the egg is all the way in the hameen dip down, and you mix with the spoon, you're searching for it to take it out. According to Sefer HaKolbo, that's coming into issue of Megis. Yeah? But since according to Rambam, the whole concept of Megis is only if the food is not cooked 100%, we follow Rambam on this inyan. So therefore, if the hameen is already 100% cooked, and you're not mixing, you're just taking food, so we're not making gezerah or something like this. Because the hagis in such a case, it's not going to be through the oraita. So taking food out of the pot, even if it's on the fire, will not be any issur. But at the same time, we have to be very careful not to mix the food. Because mixing the food, truly mixing the food, that's megis, either mideoraita or midrabanan. It still need to be mahmir on this. Not to mix the food, even if the food is 100% cooked. If it's on the fire. Because still, it's still the Rabbanan. כמו מחזקים בשל. If it's already cooked, what's cooking? מחזקים בשל. Person who sees you mixing it food, what is he doing? He's cooking on Shabbat. Hashem is not allowed to put the pot directly on the fire. Also Megis, it's still the Rabbanan. But taking food out of the pot, if the food is 100% cooked, that's permitted. We are allowed to take food from the pot if it's completely cooked. Now, another inyan that the poskim were talking about is a mahloket. Once you have the Haמצקת inside the pot, the spoon, the serving spoon, inside the pot, and you take in, let's say, soup, or you take in hameen, you take it out. What's the status of this serving spoon? Is that keli rishon or it's keli sheni? Yeah? The original mahloket, it's on gush, solid food that you take out of the pot. Is that called keli rishon, מבשל כמו keli rishon, or once you took it out of the pot and you put it on a plate, it's already the status of keli sheni, which is not מבשל. That's applied to a solid piece of meat, an egg, potatoes, any solid food that you take out. That's a mahloket. Some says yes, solid food still has the status of keli rishon, even if it was removed from keli rishon and was placed in keli sheni, still has the status of keli rishon, which means, let's say, put spices on it. according to their opinion, will be not allowed. Because keli rishon mevashel. Keli rishon is cooking. So if you want to put some black pepper or you want to put some kamun, yeah, hawaj, yeah, you're not going to be allowed. Why? Because, according to your opinion. Why? Because they hold it's still keli rishon. So, it will be the same inyan if the plate is not completely dry. If there is some water on the plate, if you take a hot potato from the pot and you put it on the water now, you're cooking this water. If this hot potato, has the status of keli rishon, so that's mevashel. Mevashel, at least kede klipa. Though there is a mahloket of tata agavar, ila agavar, over here is tata agavar, but at least Adam nekir le mevashel purta. Balar purta, mevashel purta. Yeah? So that's a mahloket. Yeah, that's a mahloket. If anything, any solid food you took out of keli rishon, if it has a status of keli rishon, or no, once it was removed from keli rishon, was placed on keli sheni, that's a keli sheni and it's not mevashel. What's the idea that it's keli sheni? It's still hot. Everyone realizes it's very hot. So how will we consider it keli sheni? But if you pay attention to the method of Tosafot, how they describe what is keli rishon, what makes it unique, and it's mevashel, even if it's off the fire. And why keli sheni it's not mevashel, even if the temperature is very high. Yeah, because the differentiate between keli rishon and keli sheni, it's not the level of the temperatures. Even if, for instance, keli rishon has, let's say, only 70 degrees Celsius, and keli sheni will have 75 degrees Celsius. We will still consider keli rishon mevashel, and keli sheni not mevashel. And that makes no sense. How is it possible? If you're telling me that 70 Celsius, 70 degrees is cooking, so how come 75 degrees is not cooking? What differentiates between keli rishon and keli sheni? What gives it this label, this status? That's mevashel, that's not mevashel. The answer is, saying Tosafot, it's the walls of the dish. Keli rishon, the dish itself was standing on a fire. So not just the food is hot. The dish itself, the pot itself, it's hot. The walls of the pot, yeah? The whole pot itself, the walls, the bottom, the whole pot, the whole dish, it's hot. It was on the fire. Therefore, it has the power to overcome any cold food or not cooked food that comes in, to heat it and to cook it. But once we remove the food out of this pot that was standing on the fire, and you place it in a different pot which is cold, מתוך שלא עמד על האש דופנותיו צוננים. Now the walls are cold. The pot is cold. Even if the food is a little bit in a higher temperature than the other pot we mentioned before, the other example, but now it's in a cooling process. The food is in a fast cooling process. Why? Because the pot is cold. And the food doesn't have the power to overcome the other piece of food that comes in and it's cold also. It's now to fight both. Need to fight the top and the bottom, the pot and the food that comes to it. And therefore keli sheni is not mevashel. That's the method. And if that's the idea, so solid food be the same. Solid food, as long as it's in the pot and the pot is hot, yeah, if you put some spices on it or anything else, we might cook it. Yeah, we're going to cook it. Keli rishon is mevashel. As long as yad soledet bo. But once you took it off the pot and you put it in a plate, in a bowl, something else, another pot which was cold, so now it's in a cooling process. It's the same idea. And therefore, the conclusion of the poskim is that that's going to be considered keli sheni, and it's not mevashel, even solid food. Now, same idea to the matzeket, to the serving spoon. What happened? You put it in the pot. You took food out, yeah? Now, once you took it out, that's this argument. Is that keli rishon because it was inside keli rishon? Or once you took it out, it's cooling down and it's not keli rishon, it's keli sheni. According to those who says it's keli rishon, obviously you cannot pour from the matzeket on something which is not cooked. Yeah? The plate will be, if matzeket is keli sheni, plate will be kli shlishi. But if the matzeket is keli rishon, So what would be the plate? That's the argument here. There's a mahloket. To those opinions who says that matzeket is keli rishon, what would be the bowl? What would be the plate? Keli sheni. And the irui from the matzeket to the keli sheni, that's going to be considered irui from keli rishon according to their opinion. So if there is something not cooked in this plate, and you pour in hot soup on it, yeah, that's cooking it on Shabbat according to their opinion. But the same as we said before, will be applied to this also. Unless, and that's very, very important to remember, unless the serving pool was staying inside the pot for a little while. Once it was standing in the pot a little while, so now it became like part of Keli Rishon. So now when you take soup out of the pot, many times you serve the first plate and you went to do something else. What do you do with the serving spoon? You leave it in a pot. Now you left it in a pot, it becomes like, it's metal, gets hot. Yeah, the heat it takes over, and the metal gets very hot. Now the kli itself becomes like Keli Rishon. Now if you take soup with the serving spoon and you want to pour it on something else, if it's cooked, it's not a problem. Yeah, if you have cooked food, it's not a problem. But if you don't have if you have something which is not cooked in a plate, and you put this on top of it, so that's cooking it on Shabbat. Yeah? Yeah. יש הבדל בין אם המצקת שהתה בתוך הסיר, לבין אם המצקת לא שהתה בתוך הסיר. אם המצקת שהתה בתוך הסיר, והתחממה המצקת, אז היא הפכה להיות כמו כלי ראשון. ולכן עכשיו אם אתה לוקח מרק או חמין, זה לא משנה. אתה לוקח אוכל רותח, והמצקת גם היא רותחת, כי היא שהתה בתוך כלי ראשון. אז היא רותחת והאוכל רותח. אתה לוקח את זה, ויש לך בצלחת איזה תבלין למשל, אתה רוצה לשפוך את זה על התבלין, והתבלין הוא לא מבושל, אז זה עירוי מכלי ראשון שהוא מבשל בשבת. שאנחנו פוסקים להלכה לחומרה, שהעירוי מכלי ראשון בשבת אסור לערות מכלי ראשון, עד דבר לא מבושל, מבשל כדי קליפה. אז זה ההבדל. אבל אם המצקת לא שהתה בקדרה הראשונה, לקחת מיד, הרמת אותה, הוצאת מרק או הוצאת חמין, לא משנה. ומזגת על הצלחת, אפילו יש שם כמון, יש שם איזה תבלין או דבר דומה שהוא לא מבושל, לא תהיה בעיה. למה? כי באופן הזה אנחנו עדיין מחליטים שהמצקת נקראת כלי שני, ועירוי מכלי שני לא מבשל. אז יש הבדל בין אם המצקת התחממה ושהתה בתוך הסיר והתחממה, אז היא הפכה להיות כלי ראשון, ועירוי מכלי ראשון מבשל. אבל אם היא לא שהתה בתוך הסיר, אלא מיד הוצאת, אז יש לדין של כלי שני, ועירוי מכלי שני לא מבשל. ברוך ה' לעולם, אמן ואמן. וחמה הקשה אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל.